The word Restnutzungsdauergutachten could save you tens of thousands of euros in taxes on your real estate investments. But that same word could also put you in prison for up to 10 years, which is the maximum sentence for tax fraud in Germany. When you buy a property here in Germany, you might unknowingly get scammed and commit tax fraud without even realizing it. We've already heard of hundreds of cases, and here's the problem. Even if buyers think they're safe, Finanzamt has up to 10 years to catch them. To make sure this doesn't happen to you, let's uncover the real estate tax scam involving Restnutzungsdauergutachten and how you can still save thousands in taxes without going to prison. When it comes to investing in real estate here in Germany, the tax system offers some powerful incentives if you know how to use them right. There are three major tax benefits that make real estate one of the most attractive asset classes: interest deductions, renovation costs, and the most misunderstood one, depreciation. Let's start with the first one, interest. If you finance a rental property with a mortgage, the interest that you pay to the bank can be deducted from your rental income. Not the principal, unfortunately, but at least the interest. And that means a smaller taxable profit and a smaller tax bill. The second big benefit is renovation and maintenance costs. Everything from new windows to paint, flooring, plumbing, even the heating system can be written off, as long as the property is rented out. If you rent out a property, Finanzamt automatically assumes you're doing it to make a profit, which is probably true. And that's why you can deduct nearly all related expenses from your taxes. If you live in the property yourself though, there are very few, if any, tax benefits. So if you're planning to invest in real estate here in Germany and want to make sure you're doing it the right way, we offer free one-on-one strategy sessions to help you set up your investment legally and efficiently. No sales pitch, just personalized advice to help you save taxes the smart way. And finally, the third and most powerful benefit, depreciation. It's a tax write-off for the buildings aging over time. And since this one isn't quite as easy to understand, let's take a closer look. Depreciation is called AFA or Absetzung für Abnutzung in German. It's a tax term that we sometimes jokingly call Luftbuchung, air booking, because it's completely fictional. It lets you write off the loss in value of your building over time, even though the market value of the building might actually go up, if you bought the right property, of course. And here's something most people get wrong. Only the building can be depreciated, not the land it stands on. Land doesn't age, it doesn't wear out, it doesn't depreciate. That's why it's absolutely critical to split the purchase price between the building and land in the purchase contract. That's one of 7 real estate tax secrets I'll cover in this video. The better that split, the more depreciation you can claim, as long as you stay within the legal limit. Buying a property in the middle of Berlin or Munich and claiming the ground is worth only €1 will not work. So how much can you depreciate? That depends entirely on when the building was constructed. 2% per year for properties built after 1925. That means after 50 years, they're worth 0 for tax purposes. 2.5% per year for buildings built before 1925. And 3% per year for new builds completed after January 1st, 2023. Now here's the problem. These fixed rates on paper often have nothing to do with how long a building actually lasts in the real world. And that's where things get interesting, because there's a way to legally accelerate your depreciation using a Restnutzungsdauergutachten. Let me show you how. So what exactly is a Restnutzungsdauergutachten? It's a special type of appraisal done by a certified expert that estimates the remaining lifetime of a building. In other words, how many more years this building can realistically be used before it reaches the end of its life. Why does that matter? Because the shorter the remaining lifetime, the higher the percentage you're allowed to depreciate each year. Instead of writing off your property over 50 years at 2% per year, a good appraisal might let you write off 4% over 25 years or even 8% over 12.5 years. That's 4 times more tax savings. So instead of only 4,000 euro per year on a 200k building, you could write off 16,000 euros per year legally. This is especially useful for older buildings or properties that haven't been fully renovated. But don't try this with new constructions, because the appraiser will look at things like the condition, structure, and renovation history of the building. Speaking about the appraiser, technically anyone can write a Restnutzungsdauergutachten. But if you want Finanzamt to actually accept it, the details matter a lot. There are only 2 types of professionals who should create this kind of report. They must either be publicly appointed and sworn experts or be certified under this DIN norm. And here's the important part. The certifying body must be officially accredited by DAKKS, Germany's National Accreditation Authority. So if you want to avoid delays or a flat-out rejection from Finanzamt, it's best to work with someone who meets these standards. Also, many tax offices now expect a physical inspection of the property. It's not required by law, but if your appraiser doesn't visit the building in person, the risk of rejection goes up dramatically. And that means all those websites where you just upload a couple of photos and get an automated appraisal, they're completely useless, at least if your goal is legal tax savings. So get an expert who clearly explains why the building's remaining lifetime is shorter than the default, based on hard facts and proper documentation. So far, so good. But here's where things get dangerous for you. A Restnutzungsdauergutachten is completely legal. We use it too for some of the properties listed on perfinex.de/properties. But some shady real estate companies are using it in ways that cross the line. Here's how the scam works. Step 1. They use an aggressive appraisal to claim a very short lifetime of the property and boost your depreciation to 4, 6 or even 8% per year. Step 2. Then they renovate the property and tell you to claim the renovation costs too. Step 3. They sell the property to you at a ridiculously high price that only makes sense with the promised tax write-offs. Step 4. You find out, too late, that this strategy doesn't work, and when Finanzamt catches you, you get fined. You might not realize it's fraud, and Finanzamt might not catch you this year or next, but they have 10 years to audit. And when they decide it was tax evasion, even unintentionally, you're the one who's liable, not them. Because here's the key legal issue. If you renovate the building, its tax status changes because it's no longer the same asset. Finanzamt says it's a new asset, neues Wirtschaftsgut in German. A Restnutzungsdauergutachten gives you a higher depreciation based on the current state of the building, not the future one. So here's the key distinction. If you renovate after getting the appraisal, that's perfectly legal as long as it's a normal renovation and doesn't fundamentally change the building. In that case, the higher depreciation from your appraisal can still apply. But if you fully renovate the building, we're talking walls, roof, windows, electrics, then you may have created a new asset in the eyes of Finanzamt, and that resets the depreciation clock. And that means your higher depreciation from the old condition is no longer valid, and those massive tax write-offs you were looking for, gone. That's how these shady advisors push overpriced properties by showing fake returns based on tax tricks that won't survive an audit. If you want to know real estate tax strategies that actually work, you've already seen one in this video. And the other 6 are waiting for you right here in this video. Thanks for watching until the very end und bis zum nächsten Mal.